Chip here with On the Chain. Welcome, everybody. We've got a lot to get into today. First off, XRP, last token standing. We know it'll probably be one of them, one of at least the last 10. There's going to be thousands of them that are going to go away, according to Brad Garlinghouse. Plays beautifully into something that Brooks Entwistle had said in the video that we have upcoming as well. We're going to also look at John Deaton's amazing appearance on Fox Business with Charles, and we're going to jump into that. Sam Bankman-Fried talking a little bit about there's other crypto exchanges that are already insolvent. What does that look like? You guys ready? Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
And you guys know, drop where you're from. I want to see the city. I want to see the country. So if you are from Miami, Florida, say Miami, US, or Miami, Florida, states or province, or we'll figure it out here. But I'd love to see where everybody's coming in. And it's also, if it's your first time here, you want to see a lot of XRP related content, blockchain related content. You want to hear some opinions from Jeff and I. Go ahead and subscribe, unsubscribe, get that mojo working. Subscribe, unsubscribe, like, click and smash that like button, and we'll get started. So I want to start off with this first story here. I had teased it a little bit in the opener, but Rippled has a brand new home. You're like, well, what the heck is Rippled, Chip? Well, you probably, if you're paying attention, you'll see it right here. Here it is right there. So the XRP Ledger Foundation, XRP LF, this is a foundation. So today marks a momentous occasion in the history of the XRP Ledger. The repo for Rippled, and we say repo, we're talking about repository for Rippled. Rippled is the name of the software that works in the XRPL, is now under the foundation. And then let's take a look at the, let's go over to GitHub here. And so there it is right there. So there, now it used to be housed underneath Ripple, but now it has got a brand new home. And that is, you guys see right here, there it is right there. It's the XRP Ledger Foundation. So instead of being housed under Ripple, and it makes actually more sense to be right here. And so there it is right there. It's open source code. It's all sitting here. You can look at it. You can parse through it. Here's all the text on it. There's the source code. You can see any, I'm not logged in right now, so you can't see any, but you can, people can post code changes here and to GitHub. And so Matt Hamilton weighed in on this. He's like, woohoo, woohoo. Thanks to everyone that worked on this. I know it's been a long time in coming. Ripple has been a fantastic steward of the code for the past decade, but it's great to see that it's now under the banner of the XRP Ledger Foundation, which is really cool. And it's kind of more deserving of where it needs to be. And then we had here, but before we go any further, I want to see where people are checking in from. Right there. Here we go right there. So I'm going to probably Curitiba in South Brazil. Good to see that in the house. What is this? Jeff rants too. Yeah, we always doing some rants. We got Massachusetts in the house, got Texas in the house, Montreal, Canada. So it's good to see everybody coming in. A lot of people from the US. We have New Zealand's in the house. Master Huddle's in here. San Diego, Alaska. And yeah, great to see where you guys are coming in from. Good to see where you're always coming in from. And Connie's in the house too. And there's Hans Loaded, our producer. Hey, what's up, Hans? How are you, man? I called him Hans Solo one time. You know, Star Wars, not. It happens. It's going to happen. And then also we had Nick Brigalis, who also jumped in and commented. He said the Ripple X dev team and I have been caretakers of the contributors to the C++ reference implementation of the XRPL protocol code base for a long time, about a decade, which is a long time in crypto. The authoritative repo for the code is now under the new home of the XRP Ledger Foundation, and we could not be happier. He goes on to say that my team will, of course, continue to contribute to the code base and seek to further enhance the XRPL's functionality. We also look forward to doing so alongside other contributors, both new and existing. And the next step for us, as Joel Katz, as David Schwartz, I should say, at Joel Katz blogged about, is proposing native AMM support. And we'll have to dig into that in another time. But this is really good to see. It's really fantastic to see that. Amazing. So there's Arizona's in the house. Punta Gorda, El Jefe from the west coast of Florida there. Boston Red Sox. Let's get a little plug in there. Puerto Rico's in the house. Good to see that. So yeah, it's great to see where you guys are coming in from. Next, I want to jump in this too, because a lot of people have seen this story, but I think they've kind of misunderstood exactly what's going on. As you guys know, MoneyGram, back in the day, a couple years ago, had a deal in place with Ripple, and it was really to actually move value across borders, right? So that's exactly what it was. A little bit different. So now everybody is saying, well, you know, the Stellar Foundation, XLM, Lumens has this brand new partnership with MoneyGram. However, it might not be what you think. It's not exactly the same deal that Ripple had in place. And so elegantly pointed out by Crypto Eddie here, she says that understanding Stellar MoneyGram's integration, it's not about remittances, which is what the deal with Ripple was about. It's an on/off ramp solution for fiat, mainly a cash out functionality global. And it says Stellar/USDC is more cost effective. This is why they're doing this, to bring the cost down. But again, it's not a true remittance, and it's just a way to cash out. So from USDC to Stellar, the Stellar token, and that's what it is. So it's not a true remittance. It's a stablecoin solution basically running on Stellar rails. And I'm glad that she pointed this out, because a lot of people really are thinking, well, you know, MoneyGram, because of the lawsuit that was essentially dropped, people have made the assertion, well, because the MoneyGram went away because they saw that whole thing with the SEC and they got a little nervous. They're, of course, they're a publicly traded company. They didn't want to be involved in any SEC issues. So what did they do? They did a logical thing and then pulled back from that, kind of backed away. And so a lot of people thought that, okay, well, they just went over to Stellar. Not true at all. And she called it, it's a stablecoin solution, basically running on Stellar rails. And I've got the video queued up here too. I'll go ahead and throw this video up here so we can listen in.
With many Stellar integrations throughout the years, and most notably, the recently launched MoneyGram Access integration. Hey, Jake, how's it going?
Good. Glad to be here.
One thing that's really important here for folks to understand is that this MoneyGram integration is not about remittances, because a lot of people think about MoneyGram solely in the context of remittances, which are like these bilateral transactions, cross-border payments, where here, what MoneyGram is doing is they're utilizing their existing infrastructure, but allowing it to be used as a generalized on and off ramp rather than specific for remittances.
You know, MoneyGram is providing.
Okay, so let's stop right there. So you have right here, you've got the VP of Tech Strategy at Stellar Developer Foundation. He's talking with the partner engineering tech lead. And so they're kind of jumping in this and explaining it. She picked out the right videos. So cheers to her for doing that.
You know, cash out functionality across the globe in pretty much every country you can think of, with some exceptions. And then, you know, for cash in, there's at least several handfuls of countries that are being supported today, with many more on the way. And so just from a coverage standpoint, as an exchange or a wallet, you're going to be able to, provide a fiat on and off ramp to your users, where you probably couldn't before, or couldn't before with the kind of cost effectiveness that MoneyGram is providing with this functionality. So that's primarily the biggest thing. The next thing is that, Stellar USDC is a very, cost-effective, form.
So really what it is, it's a way to move it and have an off-ramp that's very inexpensive to facilitate. So that's pretty much what it is. So I hope that clears up a little bit. Some items there for some people. And next up on the list here, the Aspen Institute, which was held, they do a forum. It's called Aspen Ideas Festival, and Brooks Entwistle was there. Brian Brooks was there as well. So you had Brian Brooks and Brooks Entwistle at the same conference right here. And I'll throw this up on the screen. This was so you had them speaking at this, and I'm just going to highlight this one clip with Brooks Entwistle because I think it's really key and it's really important as far as Brooks. He's over in the APAC region over there, and he's been with Ripple for a little bit now. But let's throw that video up there. Let's pull this down. Let's throw the video up, and let's listen in. We'll digest it a little bit.
Brooks Bryan just gave a very nuanced and complex answer. Do you feel that Washington...
That's not a compliment.
Washington...
Yeah, by the way, I wish I had the Brooks one. Brooks was fantastic. It really, I mean, can you imagine someone like Brian Brooks? I mean, seriously, imagine if Brian Brooks was the SEC chair, right? I mean, how amazing would that be? But again, let's go. Let's even imagine crypto mom Hester Peirce as the SEC chair. But meanwhile, they get these ding dongs. You have the previous administration, Jay Clayton. You have Gary Gensler. I mean, we don't need former Wall Street guys where someone like a Brian Brooks he used to be the general counsel over there at Coinbase. And then of course, he was the comptroller for a brief period of time. I think it was like maybe a year. And then we got to start leveraging people instead of from Wall Street. I'd like to see more people leveraging and bring them in from the private sector, attorneys, whatever, people that have a good understanding of exactly what's going on. I would prefer that. But let's listen back in here. This is good.
That Washington understands those nuances and complexities?
I think one of the key things in talking to Washington or Singapore or Dubai or the Swiss regulators is drilling down on exactly what each of these use cases are for and what they do importantly for citizens or their constituents in that country. And I do think one point that's very clear is we've talked only about 3 or 4 tokens here. We may get down the long tail a couple more, but the reality is that you're not going to spend a lot of time today discussing some of these more esoteric cryptos that have come and gone for good reason, because the utility use case wasn't there.
And it's right, making a great point. Why? And again, we'll tie this back to what Brad Garlinghouse has said. Most of the time, most of the crypto is going to go away. And he also leverages a phrase that Jeff likes to use and has been using for a couple of years now. And when he says, you guys will probably connect with it, but he's exactly spot on. There's no use case. And really, you bring it back to the .com era. It was the same thing where history repeats itself. And when history repeats itself, we get the same thing over and over again. How does that look? Well, it's like you take a name, you put a .com on there, and that was like you go raise a bunch of money, and then people figured out there really wasn't much utility or use case around what was going to happen. Where Brooks is getting into the meat of it, the meat and potatoes, if you will. He gets into it. Let's listen in the rest of this.
Or may not be there. They may be solutions looking for a problem.
There it is right there. They may be solutions looking for a problem. It's something that Jeff says very often. Solutions looking for a problem. There isn't a problem. There really isn't a use case. And then what happens? The token goes bye-bye.
Which you have a lot of in this industry. But I do think that this notion of whether or not it's stored value or building on Ethereum as it relates to financial services or anything around NFTs, which I know is a topic later at Aspen Ideas, or if you're really going after this movement of value across borders, which happens to be the one issue that Ripple has been after from the beginning, that is actually a real use case, and governments will sit up and listen because that...
He's absolutely right. It's a real use case. Of course, governments will sit up and listen because they're not the new kid on the block, really. I mean, people still refer to Ripple as a startup. Well, I don't know at what point you blow past that startup, 10 years, a decade. You're still, not a mature company, but a $15 billion valuation is nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty solid.
Matters. And Brian kind of set this up, but if you think about our 2 biggest regions by far are not the US, not Europe, it's the Middle East and Asia.
And he's right about that. So it's funny because a lot of people think, oh, the US, and what happens if the US goes away? And what happens if Ripple goes ahead and they move out and they leave? Brad Garlinghouse said recently, well, if they lose, they think about leaving. Well, why would you stay? But I don't think they're acting like a company that thinks they're going to lose. And the SEC is not acting like a litigator who thinks they're going to win. Why? Because they keep delaying, they keep making changes, they want to redact stuff. You got a great case, you just full steam ahead. And they're making every little possible change in the book. So let's listen to the rest of this.
As money is moved across what we call Ripple nets, and that effectively is taking money in fiat form in some jurisdiction, in our early use cases around remittances. Remittances is a $750 billion market per year. And even with a little dip during 2020, that market will continue to grow. That is money that's sent back home from Saudi oil fields, from other markets to the Philippines, or other corridors that many of you are familiar with. It's done often, for 7% money. It's done in ways that it would disappear over long weekends. It would take a long time to get to that village to pay the hospital bill, the education bill, whatever that is. And so if you can step in the middle with a payment solution using digital assets in the blockchain to upload that fiat and immediately across the blockchain settle instantaneously and then pay out on the other side, you start to go after something that governments care a lot about. You increase savings, you take care of a population that is at risk and often unbanked. And so I do think it goes back to why are we in this business in the first place, and why did these business models and these white papers begin in the first place? I believe at the core that they were going after some intractable world problems.
That's exactly right. So when we start talking about use case, there's a lot of, the meme coins, what's their use case? The meme coin is like, it's a cool coin. It's a meme coin. But thanks to Flare getting ready to launch, Dogecoin actually has a use case, right? Has a use case, and may not start out with a use case. And then in early days, Doge was doing a lot of great things by raising money and helping in the space. But the whole idea is that when you're looking at investing, you want to make sure that it's not a solution in search of a problem, that it actually has a use case and is solving a real problem. And this is something that Ripple has stayed. They may have made some changes along the way, but they've stayed pretty steady and on the mission across a border remittances. And we've heard Brad say too that they're going to have other use cases coming up, but that was what they really want to nail and focus on. We don't know exactly what they are, but we know that the community has come up with plenty of use cases. So that's all I'll say about that. Really good stuff. And Ripple put a pretty good blog post out here. Let's jump into this little puppet right here. But blockchain stands to change the world. This was a blog post on the Ripple site. I thought this is pretty interesting because it talks about the popular saying, seeing's believing, and it suggests visual evidence matters. And we look at the impact to business here in Ripple's recent new value report. Research highlights that 75% of the respondents of the global financial institutions think the blockchain will have a massive or a very significant impact on businesses within the next 5 years. Leaders from Latin America and Asia Pacific lead the charge, with more than 80% of respondents in each region voicing this settlement. And they go on to say it's remarkable consensus given the traditionally conservative nature of the financial industry. And just compare this to a little bit ago. If you think about it, it was very, very recent that we heard that even some of the bigger financial institutions were, we think it could be big in a couple of years. We start seeing 75%, 80%. That's pretty massive right there. It's a pretty solid how times change, how things change over time. 3 years ago, it's like, it's the future. We're not dipping our toe in. Now we're getting 75 and 80%. And it goes on to, says, powering faster, more affordable payments. We've seen firsthand that one of the crypto and blockchain's most powerful use cases is for payments. We just heard Brooks Entwistle talk about that. And it really is one of the most powerful use cases out there. And Ripple's cross-border payment solutions, custom designed exactly for this purpose. It basically takes those slow and expensive, at times, and opaque international transactions to make them real time. And that's what Brooks was kind of calling out there. If we take a look at the graph right here, so the APAC, the Asia Pacific region, 82%, Europe, 70%. This is what they believe the percentage of effect will be on business. You have Latin America coming in at 87%. And that's incredible if you think about it, because Latin America is just kind of behind the 8 ball. I mean, Europe. I would have thought the APAC region, Asia Pacific, to be a little bit higher in that area. But even look at North America. If we factor in Mexico, U.S., and Canada, 61%. The lowest which is a little bit surprising, but hey, that's the way it is. And then 78% for Mana, which kind of makes sense. But it's amazing when we look at the effect. But look at Latin America, 87%. You're talking 13% shy of 100% of the people. And then the crypto-backed payments grow and expand. 7 out of 10 respondents at financial institutions expressed interest in using blockchain for payments. You had benefits of crypto abound. 3 out of 4 respondents at financial institutions globally anticipate holding crypto in their portfolio in the next 3 years. 56% of individual respondents 18 and over globally said they're more likely to purchase from a retailer that offers crypto payments. And you have 65% of individuals that would buy crypto from their bank if offered. Thought that was a really fantastic change of events. Wow, how things have improved significantly. Now, let's break this down. We had Charles Payne, who's a reporter, commentator on Fox Business. We had none other than John Deaton representing nearly 70,000 XRP holders on with him, and we're going to dive into that right now. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll analyze it. And I have to say that if this doesn't make you proud to have somebody like John Deaton representing the XRP community, I don't know what will. There's the good guys, there's the bad guys, there's everybody in between, but John Deaton is fantastic.
All right, to say we've hit a rough patch for crypto investors would be an understatement. However, it's got the doubters and naysayers circling like sharks as each day seems to bring more questions and even more bad news. Now, many are saying, hey, listen, this is just part of the curve. It's only natural when you have something like this, something revolutionary like this. But there are still some issues, including legal issues, that feel like a whirlwind. Not sure just yet. Joining me now, crypto law founder, John Deaton, and I want to start with the SEC chair. Yesterday or this week, Gary Gensler.
Okay, so we'll cut him a little slack. He called him John Denton, but to be fair, I also got John's name wrong on a tweet one time, so it happens. I called him John Deacon, and that's the bass player for Queen, and I was like, well, I don't know how that happened, but John Denton, he's just cool and collective. He's like, that doesn't matter, let it roll off. I mean, it's his big time appearance. There he is sitting right next to him. This is the consummate pro that John Deaton is.
He made some comments, and some aren't sure where he's putting Bitcoin, for instance. Did he say Bitcoin was a commodity? Is it a security? And where does that leave the rest of these cryptos?
Well, Charles, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Gary Gensler came out and finally, after a year, said that Bitcoin is a commodity, but it took him a year to do it. And he didn't comment on any of the other cryptocurrencies. And there's a specific reason for that. He prefers there to be vagueness and regulatory uncertainty, because when there's regulatory uncertainty, it allows him prosecutorial options, right? Because
that gray area.
That gray area.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm on the security side. Believe me, when I first got into business, I found out about the gray area the hard way. Because they're, particularly small, young, and coming into the business, you start a business, and the Wall Street side, there's no, like you said, there's no clear lanes, but they do this deliberately. You think they deliberately leave these gray areas?
Oh, absolutely. Because if you provide guidelines, what do entrepreneurs and companies do, Charles? They meet those guidelines. When you keep it uncertain, it gives you options for him to continue to engage in regulation by enforcement, right? That's how he's doing it. I went on record to say that, to predict that he's going to sue an exchange or two by the end of this year and claim that they're selling unregistered securities other than Bitcoin, but he won't tell you which ones are securities.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right. And it's hard to be ignorant of a law if the law doesn't exist.
Exactly. Absolutely.
It's one thing to say, okay, I didn't know, and it was on the books, but it's really despicable.
It's disgusting.
Despicable and disgusting are two phenomenal adjectives right there. And it's so great that Charles Payne gets it. I saw Eleanor Terrett tweet today that Fox Business just overtook CNBC, which for the longest time in the US was like the #1 business program. Fox Business is the more the newer. They've probably been around 15, 17 years. Don't quote me on it. Someone on chat will know. But it's really great that I think it was today or yesterday she tweeted out that they had surpassed them, because you're having this kind of great content getting into, and having someone like John Deaton talk about it. I'm just blown away. I'm just incredibly blown away. I'm just like getting into it, let's go. Let's play the rest.
Really? Is what it is. He keeps going on record to saying these exchanges are selling securities. And then you ask, well, which ones? And he won't say, because now we know from his comment that you just asked me about, he's going to go with they're all securities except for Bitcoin, which makes this Ripple XRP case extremely important.
I want to get to that in a minute,
Absolutely.
but let me just ask about all of the, seemingly endless bad news.
Yep.
Some are saying, hey, you know what, this is a wild, wild west kind of thing. The opportunities are crazy, but, they're there, and this is almost to be expected in a way it could be a good thing if we get something out of it, maybe guardrails, maybe some regulations. What do you think?
Well, I think that the house of cards are kind of crashing in because you have some of these companies, they have a business model of crypto lending with using highly leveraged strategies. And they offer these 20% or higher leveraged applications, and they can't meet them. And when you get into an illiquid environment like we have today with raising interest rates, liquidity dries up and the house comes crashing down. And I think that eventually will clean the house.
So where is the Ripple case right now?
Well, the Ripple XRP case, and I'm glad you asked because it's something I'm passionate about. Today, and I want to make sure I get the number right. Today, Charles, we hit 68,250 people from 61 different countries around the world that have joined to fight the SEC in their overreach and government intrusion. And I want to tell you something. There's a couple thousand of them that don't even own XRP. They just feel like you do. It's disgusting of what's happening.
Right. I mean, and by the way, I did see last time, the last time there was anything from the courts that the CEO of Ripple said it gone, quote, exceedingly well. The notion that so many people want to see this succeed, again, whether you're an investor or not, I think speaks to the idea of freedom, of innovation, of self-determination. And there are a lot of powerful forces out there that don't want to see that happen.
Absolutely. And what I think what's happening is that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, it's one of the few times in history where the individual kind of front run the industry, if you will, and the hedge funds. And personally, I think that Gensler's attack on crypto is to allow the hedge funds and the Wall Streeters to come in, crash the market. They come in and then
By the way,
promote it.
they do that with the stock market all the time, all the time. By the way, did you see a guy from Citadel left Citadel to get in the crypto business?
Of course.
Yeah.
The regulators leave and go to crypto too.
All right, John, you're doing a great job. Really, so many people look up to you, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much.
That was beautifully executed by, just fantastic. I mean, it really, really did a great performance there. And I think he's got to come back on there. What do you guys think? I would think that he would be invited back. He talked about the Citadel. Somebody left from Citadel wanted the blockchain, but also Citadel is leaving where? I think they're leaving Chicago. They're coming down to Miami. And we're seeing a lot of other companies that are leaving California, moving elsewhere. And we see that Citadel, which is massive company, they're moving down here to Miami, which is just incredible. I wanted to jump into this next story. So it looks like Jed McCaleb it looks like he's running out of XRP finally. I don't know how long it's been, but he has this agreement with Ripple that he can only liquidate so much per day, and it looks like he's now below 100 million. He may run out of XRP in less than 30 days. Of course, he probably wishes that it was around that $1.75 mark, but doesn't really matter. I mean, he probably will be richer and make more money from XRP than he does. And who knows? I mean, the jury's still out. We'll have to wait. Time will tell. But according to data provided, he's got 96 million roughly left in his XRP wallet. And he liquidated 7 million XRP on the 27th of June. So it's probably, this was a couple days old. It's incredible. Also, I wanted to, I see the Ferdy's in the house. What's going on, Ferdy? Good to see you in the house. Man, it's late over there. What are you still doing up? Probably woke up in the middle of the night. And also, too, I wanted to recognize, let me see here. Gosh. And I saw Flair Community in here, which he was in here earlier. There he is, right? No, he was in there earlier. At least I saw him in here earlier. But anyway, love to get him on the show as well. And moving right along here, we have this other one. So this is interesting what's happening with what's going on. We have this right here. So here's a scoop from CoinDesk. It says that Anthony Pompliano and Mark Yusko's Morgan Creek Digital are trying to put together an alternative rescue package for BlockFi. Why, you ask? Because FTX official 250 million credit line stood to wipe out BlockFi shareholders, including one of those shareholders, which is Morgan Creek. And there's a little bit more on this right here. But yeah, so this is one of the reasons they're trying to do that. Cryptocurrency investment firm Morgan Creek Digital attempting to raise 150 million from investors to purchase a majority stake in crypto lender BlockFi. A leaked investor call from Tuesday reveals their plan was to rapidly assemble an equity offer, which was hatched in response to the crypto FTX's Tuesday morning announcement. It would extend a 250 million credit line to BlockFi. So it's interesting. It's starting to get pretty crazy out there. It's getting pretty messy out there. I can say that. Then there was this one here, which I thought was interesting. Coinbase is adding Solana staking rewards with a higher return than Ethereum. So that's interesting because you would have thought that it might have been the other way around. Coinbase users can now earn passive yield as high as 3.85% by holding their Solana Sol token in the Solana network through the Coinbase accounts. Interesting. I don't know whose appetite these days is for staking your crypto on an exchange, but I'm sure there are a bunch of people out there that think it's a pretty good idea. I'm thinking but I don't know. I don't know what the appetite is for that. We'll have to wait and see. And then along the lines of that, so it was Pompliano. It was March of 2021 that he actually went ahead and announced that he was one of the investors in this. I think it was a Series D round. We're going to find out, but it was a Series D round. And I thought this was funny only because we had two people from the community, from the crypto community, kind of impersonating that. So I'll play a little bit of Pomp's original one, and then we'll play the other one. And man, I don't know how many times they rehearsed it, but it's pretty much spot on. So let's watch Pomp's version first.
Okay. Today. Speaking of BlockFi.com/Pomp, BlockFi lands a $350 million Series D at a $3 billion valuation for its fast-growing crypto lending platform. Guess who led it? Okay, hold on.
Look at the hand motions. Look at the hand motions. Now listen here.
Today.
Okay. Speaking of BlockFi.com/Pomp, BlockFi lands $350 million Series D at a $3 billion valuation for its fast-growing crypto lending platform. Guess who led it? Wait, hold on. Guess who led it?
Who?
It
was Bain Capital, DST, me, and Tyler Global, but also my friends at Bracket Capital. Shout out to Jahan, Ati, Yalda at Bracket Capital.
And then we have...
Guess who led it?
Who?
It was... Hold on. It was...
Bain Capital, DST, me, and Tiger Global. But also my friends, Bracket Capital. Shout out to Jahan, Ati, Yalda at Bracket Capital. Morgan Creek Digital also participated. Mark Yusko, Jason Williams, what up? And many others like Susquehanna and Ballard Ventures.
I participated
James and Drew.
in Spirit. So what?
She participated in Spirit, right?
Morgan Creek Digital also participated. Mark Yusko, Jason Williams, what up? And many others like Susquehanna and Valar Ventures participated. James and Drew.
I participated in Spirit. So
anyway, that's some good stuff, some funny stuff. You gotta, anything to make you laugh these days in crypto is not a bad thing, I have to say, because it's been going pretty south. So we've got Sam Bankman-Fried here. Sam's talking about, let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Sam's warning that some crypto exchanges are already secretly insolvent. Uh-oh. And look at that look right there. Not a good thing. After throwing lifelines, all right, I got it. There we go. After throwing lifelines at troubled digital currency platforms BlockFi and Voyager Digital, Sam Bankman-Fried, the 30-year-old billionaire founder of FTX, warns that some crypto exchanges will soon fail. And again, so if you have any tokens on an exchange, probably a good idea to get them off the exchange. The question on everybody's mind in the crypto world is whether we've reached the market bottom, nearly $2 trillion in crypto market value. Poof, evaporated, gone since November. Two bellwether digital assets, Luna, 40 billion crypto asset associated with Terra USD, 16 billion stablecoin designed to maintain parity with the US dollar, which was shaky from its inception. Fallout's far from complete. Singapore-based Three Arrows Capital, goes by 3AC, highly leveraged crypto trading firm, 200 million of exposure to Luna, revealed that it was nearly insolvent. And I have another story about that. Then you've got New Jersey's Voyager Digital and New York's based BlockFi. It's getting pretty rough out there, guys. It really is getting a little bit shaky, rough out there. And then this. Now, we always remember that Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett was not too long ago. We had some sound bites we play here on the chain. And he and Charlie, his partner in crime, were saying, we don't, making little jokes. We don't like Bitcoin and Bitcoin's not good. And it's, I don't trust it. I'm not investing in it. There's no way I'm getting into, there's no way I'm doing it, right? That's kind of what they always started like, no way, I'm not getting involved. Well, look at this. It reminds me of Jamie Dimon saying, we're not going to, crypto's evil, Bitcoin's evil. One of my kids is in a Bitcoin, I'm going to disown them, right? All of this kind of stuff. And then what do we see here? Well, check this out. Nubank allows 53 million Brazilians to buy Bitcoin. Over 53 million Brazilian customers can now buy Bitcoin through the country's largest digital bank, Warren Buffett-backed Nubank. So how weird is this story? He's all going on about how he's not going to be involved in Bitcoin, doesn't trust Bitcoin. Meanwhile, he's one of the big backers of Brazil's bank. Yeah, think about that. Almost 54 million customers. It's pretty solid. I think that's close to the entire population of the UK. It might be 58, 60 million, but it's almost the whole population of the UK. That's their customer base. It's incredible. So Warren Buffett backed, and I love how they keep saying Warren Buffett backed. FinTech had announced the feature in May, though in a blog post mentioning how the option would be rolled out in phases. At the time, the company also made a treasury allocation to Bitcoin. So again, another interesting development. Yeah, Nubank is growing a lot over here. Yes, it is. Very, very cool. Very good to see that. Send your regards to your partner in crime. I will send my regards to Jeff. I will send that as well. Then we have this story right here. This one is MicroStrategy. Got Michael Saylor topping up again. He's got 480 Bitcoin amid the market slump. Now he's amassed 129,699 Bitcoin. Should he just throw in one more Bitcoin just to make it 130,000 even? That's pretty impressive. Then we have here from the Daily Hodl, we've got Wall Street giant Goldman Sachs raising $2 billion to buy distressed Celsius assets. This is a report. Now, they've denied the report. Also, of course, you would deny it, and we haven't heard anything from Celsius, but it's interesting to see this right here to see what exactly happens. But even if you were, you would deny it anyway, because obviously it's private. You don't want to get out there, but there's something going on in the background. And then we had this right here, Three Arrows Capital, which we mentioned a little bit before, liquidation ordered by court in the British Virgin Islands. That's not good. Advisory firm Teneo has been appointed by a British Virgin Islands court to handle the liquidation of Three Arrows Capital. Court in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court is the High Court of Justice and the BVI. New York-based Teneo has been appointed on the orders of the Eastern Caribbean courts as liquidation handler. Their main job is to protect the assets of the Where was I? That pop-up just came up. Protect the assets of 3AC and understand who its creditors are according to the person in the know. Teneo is essentially representing creditors, the person declined to comment on who those creditors are. So again, this is somebody who's in the know of the. Then we had CoinFlex here, files default notice against Bitcoiner Roger Ver. We'll do whatever it takes to get the funds back, the company's CEO said. And then finally, we have this. We had an election here in the U.S. And interestingly enough, there was like New York, Colorado, a bunch of other states. But we primaries, and this is to find out who is going to run in the general election come November. And so you had Republicans facing off against each other to find out who the candidate's going to be, and the same thing on the Democrat side. And I could have saved them a lot of trouble with all this. The crypto-linked PACs, Political Action Committee, that's what that stands for, spent big in Tuesday night's primaries, flexing political muscle on both sides of the aisle. Voters cast ballots in several states, but most of the crypto action was in Illinois congressional races. And it goes on to say some of the people that won. FTX Digital Markets co-CEO Ryan Salem launched an American Dream Federal Action Pact early the year aimed at promoting economic and regional security, national security in the United States. Backed Republican candidates. Salami gave PAC $8 million in May, bringing its contributions to $12 million. Also involved in the GMI PAC. GMI gave $500,000 to Web3 Forward PAC. And GMI PAC. So this is interesting. You have now crypto getting into the election sphere where they are putting the money, raising money, and they're putting it towards the candidates that they believe will most forward the action. So this is kind of good news, kind of flew under the radar a little bit. And so the winners, Protect Our Future PAC, spent close to $1 million in congressional races in Illinois, where two of the groups endorsed candidates won primaries, and other advanced without a contested primary. Protect Our Future, Nikki Budinsky won the primary in Illinois, 13. PAC spent more than $250,000 supporting Budinsky in the newly drawn lines. And then you had this one here. By the way, if you want to know, if you want to know who's 12-0 and the support, just by saying, "Hey, I support you," the Orange Man. Yeah, that's it. The Orange Man bad, 12-0. That's if you want to figure out what's going on. Still carries a lot of clout. It's still amazing to see that. Yeah, there's a lot of pop behind that type of an endorsement, but I'm glad to see that at least some PAC money is coming into crypto, and we're starting to see that. Guys, if it's your first time here, please hit the like, subscribe button. Also, remember, if you want more content like this, you need to subscribe to get more content like this. Will it be like this every night? No, absolutely not. But it'll be very similar in nature. And of course, we always talk a lot about XRP. It's one of the digital assets we talk about the most. But that's all I've got for tonight, guys. Thank you for showing up. As Jeff and I always say, OTC family, the best and brightest in all of crypto. We will be back on Saturday morning. Guys, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next one. Chip out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.